In 2017, the Japanese population was gripped by horror after a terrifying case was solved. The disappearance of a young woman led to an investigation that uncovered a gruesome series of crimes. This dreadful story unfolded in Yokohama, the capital of Japan's Kanagawa Prefecture. The central figure in this tragic tale was 23-year-old Tamura Aiko from the city of Hachioji. Her family, consisting of her parents and older brother, was plunged into despair after her sudden disappearance. Tamura was a quiet, withdrawn girl who dropped out of high school and lived with her mother after her parents' divorce. In May 2017, her mother died from an illness, which was a devastating blow to Tamura and led to mental health problems. She was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and her condition worsened to the point that she needed to be treated in a psychiatric clinic. Despite the distance, Tamura's brother supported her through social media with words of comfort and hope. Things seemed to be going well, and it appeared that his sister's life was slowly improving. However, in October 2017, the girl disappeared without a trace. During the desperate search for his sister, a series of crimes came to light that shook all of Japan. The fate of Tamura and other victims left no one indifferent. The case is considered one of the most heinous in the country's history. Let's go back to October 23, 2017. It was a Monday marked by silence, as Tamura hadn't been heard from for 3 days, much to the distress of her older brother. Concerned about her fragile health and her tendency to make impulsive decisions, he decided to search her social media for clues about her whereabouts. The post written on September 20th sent chills down his spine. Tamura wrote, "I want to die, but not alone. If you want to join me, send me a text. I'm ready to meet in Tokyo. Do you have a car?" Among several responses, one was particularly disturbing. "Take illegal substances or alcohol to numb the fear. My apartment is available for that." Tamura's reply, received 21 days later, was filled with despair. "Can we do it today? I only have 1,000 yen. We can do without weapons. Where are you? Are you a man or a woman?" This dialogue alarmed Tamura's brother, who feared an ominous encounter. To find her, he posted a missing person notice on her account, describing the mysterious man and asking the public for help. After a day of fruitless searching, the man contacted the police. The officers immediately launched an investigation, which quickly led to a crucial clue. Tamura was last seen on October 23rd at 1:45 p.m. at Hachioji Station, accompanied by a man in his mid-20s with shoulder-length black hair and a slender build. It was found that they traveled from Hachioji to Machida Station and then took the Odawara line to Sobudaimai Station in Asama, far from her home. By 2:04 p.m., they were already there, but by 7 p.m., they had both disappeared from the station. The case took a new turn when one of the internet users who had communicated with the man wrote on Tamura's account and provided information. It was a young woman who said she had arranged to meet the man at Sobudaimai Station on October 30th. The police advised the woman not to go there and instead sent undercover investigators, including Tamura's brother. In the afternoon, the surveillance team spotted a man matching the description on the video, seemingly waiting for someone. Being cautious, they followed him to a 2-story house nearby, just 750 meters from the station. The man entered his apartment and was followed by the police. When the officers knocked on the door, they smelled a foul odor. When the door swung open, they were met with a grim sight. Tamura's brother immediately noticed her white bag inside. When asked about Tamura, the man gestured toward the freezer, suggesting her presence. The apartment's layout was simple yet unsettling. Upon entering, there was a bathroom to the left and a kitchen above, with a small attic. This was also the living room where the horrific discovery was made. The police found 8 boxes, and following the man's instructions, they opened the freezer, revealing a monstrous scene. Beneath layers of cat litter were human heads, legs, arms, and various bones, the remains of those who had disappeared some time ago. A quick inspection of the 8 boxes in the living room showed that 7 contained dismembered human bones, while the 8th was a chaotic heap. The man was immediately arrested, and a large number of police officers arrived at the scene to begin an official investigation. At the crime scene, along with the box of toxic substances, the other 7 boxes contained a total of 9 human heads and 240 bones, emitting an unbearable stench of decay. In the blood-soaked bathroom, the police also found a saw, scissors, a rope, and various incriminating tools, as well as several pairs of shoes and leather wallets. The forensic investigation revealed that one of the 9 victims was male, and all were dismembered. The causes of death are still unclear. The most recent death occurred less than 2 weeks ago, and the earliest about 3 months prior. When the news spread, a crowd, including many journalists, gathered outside the house, forcing the police to cover the crime scene with a blue tarp. The neighbors interviewed by the officers said there were no unusual noises that could not be attributed to the nearby railway line. However, many residents had noticed an unpleasant smell since the man had moved into the first floor of the building. On November 9, 2017, 16 days after the incident, the police identified 9 victims through DNA matches. They included Miura Mitsuki, a 21-year-old office worker from Atsugi in Kanagawa Prefecture, 15-year-old high school student Hongi Ishihara, and other individuals aged 17 to 26, many of whom suffered from mental illnesses. The case shocked Japanese society and raised the question of how the perpetrator managed to commit 9 consecutive murders in just a few months. The identity of the suspect was later revealed. Takahiro Shiraishi, born in October 1990 in Zama City, became the central figure in a series of gruesome crimes. He was 27 years old, unemployed, and lived only about 3 kilometers from his parents' house in Zama City. His life was marked by complex circumstances and dark obsessions. Takahiro's family, consisting of his parents and younger sister, led a seemingly ordinary life. His father worked as a car parts salesman, and his mother was a housewife. However, behind this facade, Takahiro harbored deep-seated selfishness and disregard for the feelings of others. His childhood was marked by aloofness. In elementary and middle school, he was withdrawn and barely visible, even in his graduation photo. Family discord, culminating in his parents' divorce, led Takahiro to choose to live with his father. During this time, he often skipped school and took part-time jobs to become independent. During this period, he made an unsuccessful attempt to end his life with the help of burning charcoal, along with others who had similar intentions. After graduating from school, Takahiro got a job at a supermarket, where he was described as a hard worker and very responsible. Later, he moved to an electronics manufacturer. At the same time, he delved into the dark world of pimping and became involved with shady individuals. In August 2012, at the age of 22, Takahiro moved to the notorious Kabukicho district in Tokyo, a hub of adult entertainment. There, he took a job recruiting women for one of the local establishments. Takahiro earned a good income of up to 300,000 yen, including referral fees and commissions. Despite this, due to his extravagant lifestyle, he had little or no savings. In February 2017, the turning point came when Takahiro was arrested in Kabukicho for trafficking minors. He was subsequently sentenced to 12 months in prison with probation and 3 years of probation. During his probation period, he worked for a logistics company for a while before returning to Zama City in Kanagawa Prefecture. After his return, Takahiro began living a secluded life, spending his days in a darkened room immersed in the world of the internet. Such isolation is not uncommon in Japanese culture and is attributed to various societal pressures. With a tragic statistic of 70 suicides per day, Japan ranks first in the world in this regard. Takahiro exploited the dark currents on the internet, where death and suicide were hotly debated. He set up 5 social media accounts, 1 for public discussions on these painful topics, and 4 for personal use. The man cleverly manipulated these accounts to connect with vulnerable people. From this point on, Takahiro Shiraishi embarked on a cruel journey, exploiting the weaknesses of the desperate and laying the groundwork for his eventual descent into becoming a murderer. In August 2017, the path of the 27-year-old unemployed Takahiro Shiraishi crossed with that of Miura Mitsuki, a 20-year-old office worker. Mitsuki, who had been bullied in high school, suffered from adjustment disorders and often sought solace in the dark corners of social media. Here, she connected with like-minded people who shared her gloomy thoughts. Fate decided that Mitsuki narrowly escaped death during a planned group suicide on the beach. This incident led her to Takahiro and another online acquaintance, 20-year-old Takugo Nishinaki. The trio met in a park and planned to commit suicide together. After careful consideration, however, Nishinaki decided to back out and start a new life. Here is the translation. To begin with, Muki, who is saddened by Nishinaki's departure, informs Takahira that she will also not continue. Over time, however, Takahira developed a close online relationship with Mitsuki and discovered her considerable savings. Seeing her as a romantic and financial target, he carefully devised a diabolical plan. Takahiro acquired tools, a saw, a rope, and rented an apartment near Soba Daimi Station, which later became notorious as the scene of his brutal crimes. The accessibility of the apartment and the lack of surveillance made it an ideal location for executing his criminal intentions. Under the pretext of needing a deposit for the apartment, Takahira convinced Mitsuki to lend him 5,000 yen, about $3,000. 3 days after moving in, he arranged to meet her at the apartment, where he gave her sleeping pills, and when she fell asleep, he deliberately killed her with a rope he had prepared. Subsequently, the man raped the girl's corpse multiple times. For the next 3 days, Takahira spent meticulously dismembering Mitsuki's body in the bathtub. As the decomposition process began, he started storing the body parts in the refrigerator. Night after night, he discreetly disposed of the remains in nearby garbage bins. The difficulty of severing and disposing of the head prompted him to buy ice boxes and cat litter to hide it. On August 28, 2017, Takahiro Shiraishi's gruesome crime spree continued. This time, his victim was a 15-year-old student named Hongi Ishihara. Ishihara was a reclusive girl who enjoyed meeting new friends online. In middle school, she often argued with her mother over her studies, and after a particularly heated argument, she ran away from home. During this vulnerable time while browsing social media, she met Takahira. Following his usual method, he lured her to his apartment, where he repeated the same ruthless actions as with his previous victim. The mysterious disappearance of Mitsuki and Ishihara alarmed their families, who quickly alerted the authorities. The investigation revealed a chilling coincidence. The last traces of their phones were found near the Sobui station in the city of Zama. Despite a thorough search of the area, no clues were found. Takahira, who had holed up in his apartment, remained undetected. The story of 20-year-old Takugo Nishinaki, a young man with pronounced autism, became yet another horrific act. A painful breakup with his girlfriend led to his hospitalization, and a subsequent encounter with his ex-girlfriend brought him to the brink of suicide, which was fortunately averted. Problems at work worsened his despair, leading him to think about death again. Takugo, who knew Mitsuki, texted Takahira when he couldn't reach her, and they arranged a meeting. Afterward, Takugo's desire to end his life surprisingly faded, and he even informed Takahira of his newfound determination to continue living. However, Takahira, sensing a potential threat that could link him to Mitsuki's disappearance and draw police attention, acted quickly. He lured the young man into his apartment under the pretext of a routine meeting, drugged him with illegal substances, and killed him in the same manner as Mitsuki and Ishihara. With 3 victims in his apartment, the stench of decay became unbearable. In a desperate attempt to mask the smell, Takahira tried cooking the remains, but the odor persisted. Although the neighbors noticed the foul smell, they attributed it to the nearby sewage system and did not investigate further, allowing Takahira to continue his heinous acts undisturbed. After committing 3 atrocious murders, Takahira Shiraishi did not stop and continued his bloody path. Soon, he found a romantic partner online who, unaware of his dark deeds, moved into his apartment. Takahiro's next victim was a 19-year-old university student, Saraki Hinako, who suffered from mental disorders caused by the intense pressure from her mother. On September 15, 2017, Takahiro took advantage of an opportunity when his girlfriend was not at home and lured Saraki Hinako into his hideout, where he strangled, raped, and murdered her. Shortly after, Takahira attacked 26-year-old Hitomi Fujima, a divorced woman struggling with her child's disability and unstable family circumstances. Her desperation, expressed on social media amid a second divorce and a forced move, caught Takahira's predatory eye. Their encounter took a fateful turn when Hitomi received a call from her ex-husband requesting a meeting. Fearing this call might thwart his plans, Takahira decided to end her life swiftly and mercilessly. To reduce the smell from his victims, he devised an elaborate ventilation system for the apartment. His ruthless attacks claimed 4 more victims. In total, he killed 9 people. The 9th box at the crime scene was fortunately empty. It was intended for the 10th victim, but timely police intervention prevented another tragedy. Due to the complexity of the case and the need for meticulous evidence collection, the trial's commencement was delayed by almost 3 years. On September 30, 2020, the hearing finally began in a Tokyo court, where Takahira declared, "I regret killing some of my victims, with whom I spent a lot of time, and I want to apologize to those families. But as for the others, I truly regret nothing. The only thing I regret is that I failed when I was caught." The man has since confessed to killing and dismembering 9 people. Takahira claimed his motive was intimacy. He wanted to exploit his victims' vulnerability to manipulate and abuse them, satisfy his fantasies, and not worry about them rejecting his advances. His defense attorney requested a reduction in sentence due to his alleged psychological issues. However, the court found no reason for a reduced sentence and sentenced Takahiro Shiraishi to death on December 15, 2020. After the verdict, the man's lawyers filed an appeal, which Takahiro withdrew 3 days later, stating that he did not want to unnecessarily trouble his relatives by prolonging the proceedings. He also stated that all the charges against him were true, and he did not wish to contest the verdict. The Japanese agency responsible for the use of social networks has since revised its rules and banned content related to suicide and self-harm, ensuring that all violations are promptly removed. This horrific case highlights the sanctity of life and the importance of resilience in the face of despair. It reminds us to seek help and support in the most challenging moments of life, as circumstances can change. Thank you for watching, and take care of yourself.